Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the DMZ America podcast. It is Friday, February 2nd, 2024. I'm editorial cartoonist Scott Stantis. I'll be coming to you from the right.
And I'm editorial cartoonist and part-time groundhog Ted Rall coming to you from the left.
You saw your shadow. We're going to have an early spring. Thank you for that, Ted.
Yeah, I always, like I said on the show this morning with Angie, I think it's bullshit. Who is first of all, who are we to groundhog explain? Like nobody knows what the groundhog is thinking. Does he see, first of all, does he see a shadow? Does he see shit? I don't know that groundhogs need to see much at all, right? I mean, they live underground, like they're kind of like mole creatures, right? I mean,
pretty much, but they can come out. Apparently they can come out because they pick the thing up. It looks terrified when have you seen this? When they take him out of this little fake tree trunk. I mean, a stump.
And they've bitten people too, and rightly so.
Yes. Could you imagine?
You took me out of my hidey hole.
Yeah, could you imagine a hand coming through your apartment window right now and grabbing you and holding you up to a group of giants? Yeah,
I bite it hard.
Well, we're going to try and keep it short this week, folks, because it's been one of those days. So we're going to move forward quickly. Okay, first of all, now I'm going to say it's pronounced Fanny, not Fanny.
Yes,
Willis, is that correct? Fanny Will, as she's decided that she's
phony. See what I did there?
Oh, girl, what you did. Sorry. All of a sudden that was a 70s off track. No, you didn't. She is the district attorney, DA, right? Yeah, DA for New York. For now. And she won't recuse herself from this case where it has been exposed that she had a boyfriend, a traffic ticket expert, joining her to prosecute a former president of the United States. It all ties together beautifully. Here's the excuses, Ted. Here's excuse number one. I know you have her second excuse.
There are many excuses.
Her one excuse is that, and by the way, she says she's not leaving the case. By gum, she will not recuse herself, even though there's all this stuff. So she gets a boyfriend, her ticket fixing friend, puts him on as a prosecutor. He makes $650,000 so far. They've taken trips together, and effectively she said, we weren't having a relationship before I hired him.
Right.
Ted, how does that make that better?
I guess the answer would be that this is kind of like one of those 1980s movies where two hot people get together and they're trying to do everything on the up and up, but the love is just too strong and they fall for each other. And I think the excuse is, first of all, it's an 80s movie, and who doesn't like an 80s movie? And then also it's I think what she's trying to say is, look, I didn't hire him. I hired him out of pure and noble reasons. I wanted the best fucking traffic fixer in Fulton County to prosecute a RICO case against Donald Trump. And I did that. And so I hired him fair and square. And it's not my fault that, I fell on his penis. I mean, that can happen. So I'm not sure. I guess it's like the idea is that addresses the conflict of interest issue. But
yeah, she didn't hire him.
I think what happens is that the conflict of interest, just if that narrative is true, and I'm just going to go way out on a limb and say no.
You don't believe it, Ted?
No, I don't believe it. But let's just say it's true. So even so what? The conflict of interest begins at the moment that the first kiss happens, right? The first, as soon as they become romantically involved, it's like, warning, you are now involved in conflict of interest. At that point, you have a problem. And she's feeding taxpayer money to her lover. And the fact that she chose him as her lover, I should say the alleged, supposed, probably not true fact that she chose.
She admitted that it's true.
So no, but she chose him after that she got with him after she appointed him. I think that's neither here nor there, really. I don't know that it's not. Anyway, go ahead. There's other excuses.
You're exactly. No, you come up with. So that's excuse number one. Now, the second excuse, Ted, we were talking about it before we started recording this,
is that when they went on the trips together, they split the bill. They went Dutch. So not only are they involved in a corrupt kickback scheme? But also, he's not much of a gentleman. But also, I think that so, but I mean, it's a crime against Southerndom, right? Whatever happened to like the erudite
Chivalry.
Southern gentleman, chivalry? But anyway, or in the modern era, the chivalrous DA woman who, but anyway, the point is, what again, I don't think that's legally any defense at all, because she's trying to make the argument that like, okay, so you and I, Scott, we go on a trip and we share a room, as we have done at, say, the Editorial Cartoonist Convention in Raleigh, or it was in Durham, North Carolina. We stayed at a nice hotel. So now the thing is, do I not get a benefit? Let's say I hired you and gave you $650,000 of taxpayer money. Do I not get is there no benefit to me if you cover your half of the room? No, there is a benefit to me, because I only paid for half of a room, and I would have had to pay for an entire room if I didn't have you. So therefore, there is, I mean, it's kind of like, another way to look at it, it's kind of like Hunter Biden. Are you bribing the president of the United States when you bribe Hunter Biden? Yes, you are, because if you help a man's son financially, you're helping him, right? I mean, that's like it's think about, like, if Hunter Biden is broke and has no money, who does he call? He calls his dad and says, "Dad, I need money," and his dad sends it. If the absence of having to do that because money's coming in from Burisma or wherever, that's a benefit. That's an indirect benefit to Joe Biden. If someone hires your son to do, that is one less worry you have, right?
Well, but on the Hunter Biden case, they were also buying access to dad, because dad participated in phone calls or even face-to-face meetings, which they never had because the president couldn't remember them. But, oh, wait a doggone minute. Yes, I did.
Right. There's that.
So, okay. So Fani Willis, sorry, I keep wanting to say Fannie. Fani Willis she's going to stay on the case, which is going to deeply pollute the legitimacy of this prosecution going forward. I mean, I think it's an important case. I don't understand. I understand. Okay. Here's what I don't understand is that, okay, the boyfriend thing, you take this case on, Ted, you're going to have to be pure as the driven snow.
Yes.
And she's doing anything but. She takes on a boyfriend who she throws, more than $500,000 of taxpayer money towards, a guy who's clearly unqualified to do this job. She said her comments that the three people she hired, three outside counsel, are all superstars. Well, yeah, if they were prosecuting Donald Trump for speeding through Fulton County, he'd be a superstar. Anything else, not so much. So she's going to, and
it's not even just that. It's also the fact that, like, witnesses say he's a terrible lawyer. Like, some of the quotes have come out from his correspondence with other public officials with, trying to do this and that. And he speaks like he sounds like Tom Green pretending to do, when Tom Green does Free Association and Freddie Got Fingered, and he's trying to pretend like he's a stockbroker. And he's like, his girlfriend asks him, "So what do you do for a living?" He says, "Wall Street, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, option, Bear Stearns." And that's what this guy sounds like. I mean, it's not like he's a brilliant man who just happens to be stuck in the desert of Fulton County doing traffic, when in reality he should be arguing before the world court. This is not that guy.
Okay. And well, also Fani Willis on Martin Luther King Day gave a political speech. Now, that speech should have been in a church, and it should have been very, if I was her advisor, and obviously I'm not, I'd say, first of all, you got to cancel the speech. And if she insisted on giving it, I would say it's got to be the justice system of America is the best system. It is a system that is of the best and the best kind. And I hope to use it and utilize it as your DA to show that it is by far the bestest of all possible justice systems as far as justice systems go. That's all she should have said. Instead, she gave a political speech, and
Well, or
it's
she should have
nuts.
had, or she's had to have a full throated denial and been like, let me be perfectly clear. I
Well,
absolutely none of these allegations are true. They are liars telling lies in a lying way.
but we've had our fingers waved at us before of something that was true when we were told, I did not have sexual relations with that woman,
Yep.
whatever her name was.
Well, is anal licking really a sexual relation? Or, I mean, dogs do it all the time just to say hi. He did that. It's in the Star Report that he rimmed Monica Lewinsky. People do not know this. I read that
And
the
now,
Star Report
unfortunately, they
very
do.
carefully. Yes, they do. That's right.
The Star Report.
He got into the holiest of holies, went way
Oh,
deep.
goodness gracious.
That's right. Now, but maybe
Okay.
that's not a sexual relationship. Depends, like he thought that he supposedly
What, a
didn't think that oral
hygienic
sex.
relationship? What the hell? What are you talking about?
Sometimes on the New York subway, a dude just comes up and sniffs your ass. You're like, yeah, whatever. Maybe not. Well, maybe so.
Okay, we're coming to visit you in a little bit. Is this going to happen to me?
It could, depending on what line you're on. On the F train, anything can happen.
I've heard that. Okay, so so she should recuse herself. Fonnie Wells should, okay. Well, you and I agree on that one, but
well, she should. Okay. Look, I think she should resign. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm gobsmacked. She filed an over 150-page brief, which I look forward to reading. It just dropped like an hour ago, so I'm going to spend some time with it. But the point is, I got to say, I really thought that, I guess I'm stupid because I forgot how stupid she was. She was so stupid that she got herself in this situation, as you said, Scott. Yeah. And you have to be pretty stupid because you have to know. I mean, imagine if here's a really useful way to think of it. Let's just say she has to drop out and and Governor Kemp needs to find some other prosecutor. That's how this works. They'd have to find another county DA somewhere to take this case, right? Assuming they could find one of the few Democrats to do this. It's like, okay, so they come to you and you're like, DA Stantis. And I'm like, okay, so do you want to do this case? And you're thinking,
no,
do I need this in my life? I mean, I'm going to have death threats. All the MAGA people are going to come after me and hate me forever. People might punch me in the face when I'm in the street. I don't need this in my life. And it's not going to make me, whatever fame or notoriety I'm going to get is not going to be worth it. So I think a lot of people would just be like, fuck this. So she had to know that the heat was going to be on, or she should have known. And, like you said, she felt protected because of the racialized politics. Well, I'm black in a black county, and my black constituents will protect me in the same way that in white counties, my white constituents will protect me. But I mean, but the point, she was moronic. She was so dumb that she didn't think of all the enemies and all the knives that would be out to get her under the togas. Or not under the togas. And then and now I thought, well, now she's going to do the smart thing. She's going to hang on and basically tell the governor, I will resign and go away and be quiet if you let me keep my bar I want to keep my bar license. I want to be able to practice law in the state of Georgia and fix tickets with my boyfriend.
But she's also a political hack, so she's not going to walk away from a political office. I mean, she's just not.
But she's going to lose it. She is like, Scott, you and I have seen people who are in this kind of situation, whether it was Governor Andrew Cuomo, who was never going to quit. Now we call him former Governor Cuomo. His brother at CNN, who said he was never going to quit. Now we call him former CNN host Chris Cuomo. Baby Dr. Duvalier, who said, my regime is as firm as a monkey's tail. I'm not going anywhere. He's went somewhere. I mean, it happens over and over. They always say that, but you and I know that her days are numbered. I mean, there's no world in which she survives this.
No, well, and let's assume for a moment she does, and it just makes a travesty of the case, and it goes to appeal immediately. And then
and the judge has got to not like it. Judge McAfee is going to. I mean, he seems like a pretty straight arrow, and a man with some dignity. He's not going to like it.
Nope. Well, I don't like it. You don't like it.
No, it's ugly. I mean, and look,
Yeah,
we
it
of
is.
course
It
have
really
lots of
is.
articles where I take careful note of op-eds in places like the Washington Post, which are basically like blah 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 blah. Trump is still guilty. Trump should still be held accountable. He's a bad man. He's orange. Blah 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 blah. And none of this means anything. And you're allowed to fall in love with someone at work. But they're all like, yeah, but she fucked up, and that really really sucks. And it was our best chance to get Trump, and now it's fucked up. And so the point is, when those people are saying that, it's
It's over.
it's
It's
over.
over.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving quickly to other issues, the economy, we have uh, actually some great news. They expected around 170, 180,000 new jobs created last month. It was turned out to be 334,000.
Very robust.
GDP, what?
Very robust.
Oh, incredibly not robust, but healthy. You also had a GDP report recently of 3.1%.
Very nice.
Inflation is down. The interest rates for the average interest rate for a mortgage now is at 6.5%. Don't forget it was inching towards 8% not too long ago.
Yeah.
So the Federal Reserve Board said, yeah, we don't like this. And you're just going to go, oh, Jesus of almighty. What? The Federal Reserve Board, which was supposed to announce cuts in the prime interest rates, announced that they're going to keep them where they are at the moment, and that they're hinting that they're going to keep them where they are for some time now.
Yeah,
And
they had signaled a quarter point, four
yeah,
1/4 point
yeah.
decreases this year, and the same thing next year. So total of 2 points down by the end of
Well,
next.
it goes to show you that they are definitely not in the hip pocket of the Biden administration, because a interest rate cut right now would send the economy through the stratosphere. They may do it next time, and I think they should.
It could be inflationary too, though, and that's
Oh,
always the Fed's number one concern.
I know, and it's nuts because you and I have talked about this. The Fed would rather have unemployed people who can afford things
Yes, because they
versus
would.
employed people who have to pay a little more for something.
Because the Fed's main concern is, of course, to make sure that labor is affordable for capital, right? And I mean, look, there's an argument to be made for that. In most companies, their number one expense is payroll. So it's like if they want to keep labor affordable, if labor gets too expensive, not only does that like hurt business, but it also makes labor uppity, and we can't have that.
Well, and it's at the income is going up, not keeping up with the rate of inflation past rates, but is going up. So that's a good thing. Hopefully, we can keep that trend moving forward. Speaking of uppity uppity labor, I know this is very much an ADD podcast this time around, and I apologize for that. But the news industry, the Chicago Tribune just had the newsroom and the union there just had a 1-day strike. Wow, power to the people. Could you imagine? Could you imagine Lennon going, "Okay, we did it once. They got the message. We're done. Are we in power now?"
It's like, yeah, instead of the storming of the Winter Palace, it's like the strolling across the street from the Winter Palace.
Doing the selfie in front of the Winter Palace. Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, okay, regardless, the news industry is announcing massive layoffs. Everyone from CNN, Sports Illustrated may shut down altogether. The Chicago Tribune has said that they're going to not contribute to the 401k, of making an effective across the board 4.5% pay decrease for the people who work there. LA Times is talking about, they said 20% of their newsroom. This looks to me more like 30 to 35% of the newsroom is going to be cut, not to mention more people across that company. Okay, so quick
And there's
question.
others. Pitchfork, the
Right.
very beloved independent music review publication, is being closed, folded into. And what's that big giant website that like with great fanfare opened up?
The messenger,
Messenger,
right?
yeah. They blew through money like drunken sailors.
Well, they hired all of these, legacy journalists who are expensive,
I don't
hoping that
understand that, Scott. Like if
what's that?
you and I have often talked about like opening, starting our own media company. What would we do if we had the money? And, we've seen that model on a number of occasions where it's like, oh, we're going to get some star report. LA Times, and when Dr. Pat Soon-Shiong bought it, he lured away Norman Pearlstein from Time magazine. He tried to go for some high profile hires away from like the New York Times and the Washington Post, but it was like, you don't really, I don't think readers know who Norman Pearlstein is. I don't think readers know if like, oh, this writer, the byline on this article about Gaza, used to have won a Pulitzer Prize at the Washington Post. They don't. So, it's like, I think it's just like make the product as good as possible and reduce the costs as much as possible. And then you have like the model of like, I don't know. I don't even understand why they still work in these giant buildings. Like, why does the New York Times still have this giant office building in Midtown Manhattan? What for? They're not talking to each other. They're just, they're all on their earphones typing away in their little cubicles, right? They could work at home. You don't.
Yeah. Really... Well, in fact, some inside information here, but they're talking about not having a newsroom for the Chicago Tribune. The Tribune newsroom moved to the Freedom Center where the printing press building is. That property just got sold to Bally's to become a casino.
Oh, Jesus.
So they're moving out of there, and there's not discussion. They're still trying to decide where they're going to land, if anywhere, if there's going to be a brick and mortar presence anywhere in Chicago for the Chicago Tribune. But you're right. They don't need to have one. I think you do. I think you need to have some place where you can have editorial board meetings.
But it could be someplace cheap. Like in New York City, you could easily have an office in the outer boroughs somewhere in Brooklyn or Queens, that's much smaller, more affordable, more like a space, like conference space where you can go, like startup kind of vibey. You don't need to have like a high-end prestige building. Like what for?
Yeah.
Tremendous waste of money.
Well, it was at one time. It was, you had these legacy buildings. The Chicago Tribune Tower is iconic. It's gorgeous. You couldn't ask for a better promotion of your product.
They could afford it back then.
Yeah, they can't afford it now. So where are we? Is this the death? Is this the absolute death of newspapers?
Look, here's the thing. There will be very little left. It's kind of like, nobody wears kimonos anymore. But there are still a few people who make kimonos in Japan. And they make very high-end.
Yeah, you've talked about this. I'm not convinced of this.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to end up with a hybrid of a hodgepodge of new models. And I'll tell you what I think they are going to be, Scott. You tell me, shoot them down. First of all, looks like NPR, man, they were ahead of the curve all these years. It's the begging model. Like, please support us and we'll give you a tote bag. If you need sexual favors, we'll send over a reporter. It's like I think begging for money is going to be a big thing. There's also going to be obviously more freelancers, more citizen journalists who come and go. And there's going to be, but I think the begging thing is huge. I think there's going to be some legacy that are able to pivot, like Wall Street Journal, New York Times are going to be able to make it. I also think there's going to be some new lean and mean organizations that step forward and they mix. It's part of something else. Like we're a news organization, but we're also a dating site, and we're also we have a gym, and we have, what I mean? Like it's part of a bunch of stuff. I don't think that the model of big and fat and clumsy and lazy is going to work anymore.
Of course not.
These are the organizations that are going. And if you think about the ones that are in real trouble, LA Times has been dysfunctional and basically, look, setting aside my own personal gripes against them, their website is indistinguishable in design from 20 years ago. You can't tell that 20 years have passed. It could be 2001. That's true about the paper you work at. I hope that they do something different with the redesign. They
didn't.
They never figured out social media. And also I think it's like, it's like lean, and they have I think it's kind of like they've replaced a lot of experienced reporters with people who don't really know what they're doing. What you really kind of need is a combination of both. You need like young and hungry, being trained by old and grizzled and brilliant. then that's how Young and Hungry becomes old and grizzled and brilliant. You know, you need a mentoring arrangement, but you know,
Right.
that's happening.
No. And here's the thing. Can I go on a rant?
Please,
And I'm
Rand.
going to offend publishers and editors, which I know you care so deeply about. In all seriousness, I mean, I have still never heard a single publisher or a single editor, and I mean high end, high level editor, not the line editors. They didn't, you know, if you're, you know, you're the Metro editor, you have nothing to do with in terms of defending journalism. Your job is to make sure that the Metro copy is clean and accurate. But I'm talking about the executive editor types, the editor in chief types, the publishers. Not one of those sons of bitches, Ted, none of them. I've not heard a single one, and I will challenge any of our listeners to tell me who has come forward and say, I fucked up. We did not see this coming. We did not prepare correctly. We misstepped. Any kind of admission that they were wrong. None of them have done it, and they're still fucking in charge, Ted. Still.
And they're still doing the same thing. I mean, I
The
know.
exact same thing, but that means
Look, you and I are both Catholic, so we like penance. But I think the whole purpose of penance is also to change your behavior and not keep doing the same thing. You know, and really, truly, they don't think they've done anything wrong. They really, truly think that it's going to be okay in the end once everyone comes back to their senses.
oh no, 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 no.
Someday America will realize that Donald Trump is an asshole.
I don't think they think that it's going to be okay. They haven't thought that in years. But what they have tried to do is run the clock out so they get the bonuses and continue to bring in the fat salaries they were making. And the bonuses were crazy. I mean, when I got to the Chicago Tribune in 2009, they were still giving 6 and 7 figure bonuses to line editors, editorial page editor, the sports editor. Still got, you know, here's $600,000 just for being you because you did such a great job. Didn't we lose like, you know, $75 million this last quarter? Yes, we did. Way to go. But that didn't impact. We can lay people off, but they won't impact our bonuses. That's where we are. The very thing about capitalism that you hate, I don't like it either. But this, we are at a position now with newspapers where we still, as Ted mentioned, have the same people doing the same thing over, but it's not wishful thinking or looking to the future. It's only looking towards themselves and making themselves money. And past that, they don't give a shit because you look at the newsrooms, you know, okay, let me give you a quick example and then I'll get off my soapbox. Ted, I will challenge you to guess the number of people in the currently working in the newsroom of the Springfield, Illinois newspaper. Bear in mind, Springfield is the state capital of one of the most populous states in the union and certainly has the third largest city in America within its borders. Springfield newspaper has how many people working in its newsroom today?
7.
Shit, how'd you know that?
You told me that.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Well, then I guess okay, never mind. God damn it. I was hoping you'd be old enough to forget it. Okay.
I'm not
because apparently I'm old enough to have forgotten that I told you that. We're coming up to the end, but let me ask you this real quick, Ted. And this is we have time to kind of flesh this out. We mentioned earlier the economy is doing well. It really is doing well, and consumer confidence is growing everywhere. So why isn't this helping Joe Biden? We had a poll come out recently that showed him on the national level he's ahead of Donald Trump by somewhere in the neighborhood of 6%. Whose poll was that, Ted?
That's Quinnipiac.
Okay. And which is a conservative, but really the only one that got it right in 2016.
Yeah, and 2020. Yeah.
So, but the polls state by state, in terms of the battleground states like Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, all of those, Trump is leading by a sizable number, 5, 6, 7, 8%. Why is Biden not getting the traction on the economy? He should be at 60% right now. Why isn't he?
I think there's 2 things going on. First of all, one key word is yet. It's entirely possible that there's a delay effect and that people still have a hangover. You know, when there's an economic crunch, like soaring inflation, which we saw the last couple of years, you know, economists think, well, problem's solved. We have new numbers. Everything's cool. Well, that's great. But all the rest of us, in the world, we still have the credit card bills that we have to deal with and slowly pay off. We're still wounded, and we're trying to recover from it. And it takes a long time to dig out of the hole and then to start to feel like we can breathe. So assuming that this continues through the end of the year, through the election, it is entirely possible that as time passes, Americans will start to feel like it's going to feel real to them, and they're going to and consumer confidence will increase. The other thing I think that's going on is that reduced inflation doesn't mean that prices go down. Now, there's some exceptions to that, like oil prices. Gas prices are going down. They're actually going down, but that's not true overall. All it means is that the rate of increase has slowed down. So, Americans are short-sighted and ahistorical, but even Americans remember how much groceries cost in 2020 or 2021. And here we are 2-3 years later, and they cost 2-3 times more, it seems like. And so, the price, so I guess it's nice that they won't cost 4 or 5 times more, but people are still like, holy shit, costs a lot more. So I think those are the two main reasons that they're not feeling it. Now, Democrats say that the Biden administration has been not good at communicating their achievements to the public. I would say generally, it's never really easy to say, actually, you're doing a lot better than you think. That's a pretty rough sell to the public. But Joe Biden, of all people, is not the kind of person who he's really not able to communicate well at all about anything.
No.
So, and he doesn't communicate really at all. Forget about I mean, we never hear from him. I mean, how many Oval Office addresses are there? How many pressers does he give? We never see this guy. I mean, having Joe Biden, from the moment that he started running in early 2020, we haven't seen hide nor hair of this guy. It's like that joke about the Jewish joke about the restaurant. The restaurant's terrible. The food's terrible in such small portions. I mean, in this case, it's like we have like the food. In this case, the president, we get such small portions, and then we're like, we should see him. Then when we do, we're like, oh, maybe we're better off with the small portions.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I told you to be a short one. This is a short one. So Ted, where can we see all things Ted?
You can find me at rall.com. You can go to whowhatwhy.org, gocomics.com/Ted Rall, on Centerclip, where you and I share a forum there for these 30-second to 5-minute mini podcasts, basically. And then you can listen to my radio show, which Scott is a frequent guest on, called The Final Countdown on Radio Sputnik, also on Rumble, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. But the old ones are on there, so you don't have to listen in real time. And Scott, where can we find all things Scottian?
Well, I want to first say that The Final Countdown, now I'm in the habit, I turn it on and just listen to it while I'm working in the morning, because it's a really good show. And it talks about some issues that no one else is talking about. So, I mean, Ted did not know I was going to do this, but it really is an excellent show. It's totally worth listening to. So do yourself a favor. It's not just on Rumble, but there's another platform you guys just launched.
It's now on X Spaces as well. And you can also listen to the old too. Yeah.
Why were there balloons?
I don't know. It's like it. Like where's Pennywise the clown?
I know I can go.
Yeah, terrifying.
Oh, I figured out how to do that.
I hate that.
I do too.
Does it do it if I do it?
Yeah, I think you have
I don't have the thumb.
Put it next to your face and smile. So you guys now have to watch the video. So please go to YouTube. Either Ted and I both post videos of this podcast being produced. It looks pretty much like you think this is Bad Hair Day Friday for, I think we're both kind of like
DMZ America
we look like we've combed our hair.
It's like where left meets right in shitty hairland.
So if you want to see my work, you can go to gocomics.com/Scott Stantis, gocomics.com/Prickly City to see my comic strip. You can also go to chicagotribune.com, although they just, as Ted alluded to, they just have a new website and failed to, put up my gallery. So maybe later you can go there. You can go to dallasnews.com, see the work I draw for the Dallas Morning News. And yeah, you can go to Center Clip, which is this wonderful new app. And yeah, that about covers it. Cool.
All right, then. All right.
All right. From all of us here at DMZ America, the podcast, we salute you. Grateful Nation salutes you, Ted Rall.
And you too, Mr. Scott Stantis, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Stantis.
We'll see you next time.
Is Lieutenant Colonel below Colonel, or is that a?
Yeah, I think it's not a full bird colonel. I don't think. I don't know.
Okay,
why are you asking me that at the end of the show?
What's your rank? You should know.
I'll have to check it out. We'll let you know, guys. It gives you a reason to come back next time.
Indeed. Bye. Everyone.
Ciao.